When we really understand the gift factor side of it, and when you start identifying that, then it's about like the rubber has to hit the road at some point, because ideas are incredible, but they don't make the difference. It's the implementation that does. And I think something that's not spoken about, a big component of the whole pathway, is circumstances, is understanding that like your current circumstances actually matter. They come into play. And the different elements that I know that we always speak about is money, time, skills, and energy. They're the resources we all have. And some may have more than someone else. And they're resources that matter in the sense of, as we say, getting off the starting line, getting something actually going. And, you know, I always think about it because the woman who has, you know, say $1 million or $2 million sitting in the bank and maybe no kids as well. I'm not saying they are an excuse or aren't an excuse. I'm just saying it's a different life. It's different responsibilities. We're making different decisions. That is a different starting point to someone who may be a woman who has a month's worth of food and rent. Now, they both have the same end goal, right? It's both, how do we create this financial independence and financial freedom? But the circumstances matter because they help guide what could be a first step. And I think that's important because I see so many women getting stuck on starting. I've got my thing, but I'm not really leaning into my thing. I've got the idea, but I never really acted on it. It's the speed and implementation side that's undercooked.
And as we know, the pathway that we envision is probably not going to be the pathway anyway.
Yeah.
But we have to take the first 3 steps so we can see the next 3 steps.
Yeah.
And then we might see, oh, actually we're heading over this way now. And those, what information, what knowledge, what skills we gain in taking the steps is what will direct us.
I don't think it's spoken about enough. Like, I know it's a big thing that we talk about because often it's like, well, there's your idea and step into business and you can just create it. And it's like, no, there's things that are going to help make you, well, help you make decisions, but also guide you in what your options are, right? So if we're always getting overwhelmed with options, what about this, what about that? Like, there's all these things. It's like, but when you dial down your circumstances, there's only so many you can possibly start with.
And doing a thing because a girlfriend said this is a good thing isn't a good reason to do it.
No.
And that's why people aren't successful or quit before they get to where they want to be and end up beating themselves up. Oh, I tried that, it didn't work for me. And it makes us feel worse. It's like we just chose the wrong path, or we didn't understand why we were choosing the path. And choosing a path just because it worked for someone else is not a reason to choose a path.
Yeah, and I think this is where that logical side comes in. So it's like, okay, let's create the idea, let's create the concept, let's work out what this is and your gift factor, and then let's look at, okay, what's the reality of getting that on the road? What's the reality of implementing that? How would we go about that? Is it going to take a lot of money to start? Is it a business that's going to cost $500,000 to start? What position are you in? Do you have that? Oh, it might not be your first step then. It doesn't mean you won't eventually get to that dream business, but there might be one first. Is it going to take 40, 50, 60 hours a week, this particular business, and you're working a full-time job? Oh, okay, it may not be the first one. And so when we bring in our circumstances, it dials down our options, and then we can decide on the first step and just get moving. And I think, like you said, it's like where we start isn't going to be where we end. It never is. But I think the problem is most women aren't getting started.